Recording.
We're recording. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the SellOut Show, where we are always sold out. I am Dianna Guerin, and I am the irreverent sales girl, where my mission in life is to bring a dash of dignity to the art of selling.
Hi, Dianna. Hi, everyone. I'm Shawn Sandy. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of the Selling Agency, where we coach humans how to sell to other humans. Because selling like droids or angry robots, it pisses people off.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Exactly.
That's so good. Okay, so we've got a special treat lined up today. Was there something that you wanted to make sure that we talked about?
Oh, I think we have a full ticket right now. We have a full ticket with our featured guests, which I'm excited. And I'm going to go ahead and send him the invite.
Okay, go ahead and send him the invite. So I'll do a little introduction. We can tell a joke or two while it comes on. We can fix our hair. We can talk about our trip to Memphis, which I'm so excited about. So who we're inviting onto the show right now is somebody that about 4 years ago, he cold called me. And you know me, I'm such a fan of prospecting and cold calling. When somebody does a good job, it totally stood out. And I was in a job where I was just drowning. Do you know what I mean? And he was a lifesaver. It was like he threw the lifesaver into me. And I was just completely impressed with his style. His follow-up was impeccable. He was just always on time, always speedy, always in communication. Somehow he had this knack for just completely appropriate follow-up. I wasn't the decision maker, but he kept me in the loop, and it was just, I don't know. I have to tell you, I haven't seen anything like it. And I really love to hear about how he got trained that way and what makes him stand out that way. And he just got a brand new job. So I wanted to hear, sort of what his journey was about interviewing. Because last week, and the one that I'm editing right now, we're all doing the interview. So anyway, should I text him that we sent it?
Yep, I just sent him the link.
Oh, goody. Okay.
I have 1, 2, 3 screens plus a phone today.
Oh my God. Let me get my screen going here, my phone screen going here. Maybe I should text them too and let him know that we just emailed them. Un momento, por favor. Okay, tell me a joke or something. What you got? What's on tap?
Oh, God. The only jokes in my head are those stupid ones from my kids. They love to make up jokes. Like this morning, he said, "Mom, what would the Flash be called if he were a cat?" And I was like, "Cash? I don't know." He's like, "Speedy Pussycat." I was like, "Oh, haha, that's so funny." Like, you're kids, and you love them, and you kind of have to laugh, but really you're going, please leave.
Please don't tell anybody that ever. That's so funny.
Yeah, I can't think of any good ones. My brain is all occupied by crap ones.
Well, I was thinking that one of the things that we could do at some point in the future for our binge watchers, which is kind of fun, we have some binge watchers,
I know,
is have a trivia contest for them.
Oh.
Things like, what's Shawn Sandy's husband's name? Because we drop these little nuggets in, right?
Oh, yeah. We drop a lot of nuggets. Like this, like bunnies poop in the yard. It's a lot of nuggets. Which Ninja Turtle accosted Shawn?
Oh, I cannot wait for our photo shoot. We have got to include Michelangelo at some point.
Oh my God, should I bring him with me?
Yes. He's the official show mascot for sure.
He's over here.
Oh.
He's standing guard.
I'm getting my video going here.
There he is.
Oh, let me see. Okay. Record. See, and I've got the merch set up. Like I've got my other recording, the Reverend Sales Girl mug there, because people are going to be clamoring for this mug anytime.
Clamoring. Such an underutilized word, clamoring.
But we used it here. So, hello, Jake. Where are you? There was something else I wanted. Okay, so we're coming to Memphis, and what's the schedule like? I'm going to arrive hopefully early afternoon tomorrow.
Okay. What time are you leaving?
What
time are you leaving?
I will definitely be out of here by 6, but I'm really going for 5 o'clock. Let's get out of here. And then it's a good 8-hour drive, right? So to get there by 2 means no bathroom break. So that's not going to happen. So anyway, it's probably realistically it's probably like 2:30 or 3.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, tomorrow night we're just gonna work and have dinner. If you want to go get dinner, if not, I'll make dinner. I mean, we're easy. There's lots of really yummy food places near here. And then Saturday morning, get up, I'll make breakfast, and then you're coming to volleyball practice with me.
I love it. I love it.
I have a spare pair of knee pads for you.
Oh my God, that is so great. That is so great. Do y'all wear shorts, or should I wear yoga leggings, or what do you wear?
I usually wear like capris, and I put the knee pads up over them, but you can wear shorts. It's shorts.
Capris.
Yeah. I mean, I wear knee pads because my instinct to dive and to go for it is just very strong. You may not. You don't have to.
This does not surprise me one little bit about you.
We had for a practice last night, we had a diving clinic, and because I want them to get down, and it's really interesting, all these metaphors for sales come into mind. Like, they're instead of, sliding underneath the ball, they'll run to the ball like this, bent over their hands. And then whenever they hit it, it goes straight into the net. And
right.
So you have to throw yourself down on your knees to pop it up. There's a very attractive face.
I think I may be in for more than I bargained for. I mean, I think the last time I played ball, I did play at one point, but I think I told you we went 0-15.
Yeah.
I played in junior high. Yeah, that was stellar. So, so I got better after that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is he here?
You sound good. You sound clear.
I'm here.
Where are you? Can you see him?
Yeah, I can see him.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Jake.
Hey guys, how are you?
Really great. I'm so glad that you could join us. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well this morning. How are you guys?
Good. So I don't know how much you know, but this is Shawn Carol Sandy. She is the Chief Revenue Officer of the Selling Agency, where they coach humans to sell like humans, because selling like robots and jerks is so last year.
Yeah.
Love it. Hey, Shawn Carol, nice to meet you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on. You're very brave. I have to tell you, all our guests, you're very brave, because it's not like we give you a set of questions to answer ahead of time.
Yeah.
You didn't give him a set of questions, did you?
I didn't give him a set of questions, but I did kind of give him, I gave him some, you don't have to have watched it, but I did kind of give him a hint about what we've been talking about in the past. So I thought, if you want to bring up company names, that's totally fine. But I thought we'd talk a little bit more generally, because about, I don't know how long ago it was, 4 years ago, something like that, you were prospecting to me. I wasn't even the decision maker, but you were like an awesome cold call. You were appropriate with your follow-up. It was so communicative and on time. And I really completely stood out for me as a selling experience. So Shawn and I were curious about 2 things. The first one is, what kind of training did you have, or what is it that you think makes you stand out as a salesperson? And then the second thing is, we're really interested. We did a little series last week about interviewing. So we're really interested in how your interviewing journey was as you got your new role. So
sure.
Well, let's do this. Let's have you, Jake, I want to have you introduce yourself first. So
Okay.
then probably move that to the beginning.
Okay.
Really good introduction.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you guys both for having me on. It's great to be here. So my name is Jake Holt. I am now an enterprise account executive, working for a design collaboration platform. Just recently started at this new company. I previously worked at a company called Cirrus Insight, which is a sales acceleration platform for mostly just salespeople, some customer success, but mostly sales. And I've been selling for about 4.5, 5 years.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. So what we think is so important is that Dianna and I talk about, we like to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Because I think that especially the bad and the ugly is really glossed over. There are a lot of sales experts, and I'd love to know who you follow and who you are inspired by, and who you learn from. But I think as far as information and books, I've got tons of books back here. that are really meant for like manager level. They're theoretical. We know some great people who write some great stuff for sellers, but I don't think there's enough stuff that really tells sellers, yeah, you're going to suck for a while. Things are going to be crappy and you're going to fail. You know, we have a whole, segment, #SalesFails that we like to talk about, because that's the reality. Sales is like, it's like you're roller skating, or like you're playing roller derby or something. You're going to fall down. You're going to get bumps and bruises. You're going to have victories. And we just want to really reflect that with real sellers, true real sellers, people, boots on the ground, phones in hand, dialing, smiling, meeting people. I don't know that I just think there's a lack of that out there. So we'd love to hear from people who are
boots on the ground, phone in the hand.
Yeah, so that's why we'd love your perspective. So, Dianna, what was the first question we had?
Well, the first question is a lot, and you can freeform it however you want to talk about it. But what training did you do, or what do you think makes you stand out as somebody who's a boots on the ground? And I know you're going to have to, not be humble here. You're awesome. But what do you think kind of made you stand out in that role?
Sure. Yeah, and thank you for the praise. Hopefully, I can live up to it. I think when I first started selling, maybe because I didn't really have formal training, it helped me in a way, because I really felt like I had to go out and learn things on my own. So when I was at Cirrus Insight, that was the first sales role I really ever had. I had smaller ones, like I worked at a fireworks store, but those don't really count.
Although I bet they make for some interesting stories.
Very interesting stories. Well, we can share that for the next one. So, it was really my first time in a professional business-to-business selling role. And it was a startup. So I was the 6th or 7th employee, and I think the second sales hire. So it was pretty much green pastures in terms of sales process and sales team structure, sales development versus account executive versus customer success. And so, I was pretty much given free rein to do what I felt like I needed to do. So it wasn't like I was handed a playbook. I actually ended up writing the playbook. So, so for me, early on, I was just reading anything I could get my hands on, whether it was sales management or, boots on the ground, as you guys call it, sales books. And I think for me, what really helped was I started listening to a podcast from Brian Burns. Are you guys familiar with Brian Burns?
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
Write this down.
So he's really good. He's got a ton of sales experience, and he's very similar to you all, where he wants to relate to the individual seller. He's not going to talk about very high level strategy. He's going to get deep into tactics and what you can do on a day-to-day basis. And something that resonated with me pretty early on when I was trying to learn this stuff was, to treat all these different sales strategies and, overall frameworks. Like there's MEDDIC, there's, the Challenger sale. We've all read these books, right? And so there's a ton, there's a ton out there. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. And I think when you try to, fix yourself into this certain framework, you can end up sounding like a robot. And so what he always preaches is, read everything, learn as much as you can, but treat those different frameworks as like tools in a toolbox. So sometimes you have to be, the challenger, right? Sometimes you have to be the solution seller. So I've kind of lived that way in my sales career, which is still pretty small, right? So I'm not coming in with 20 years experience or anything. But I think that's really helped me be successful, is not trying to fit myself into a box, is learn as much as I can and pull out those different tools and tactics, when I need to.
I love that. So what Dianna would preach, right?
I mean, Shawn, I promise you, I have never spoken to this human before about his training. I mean, did he not just say exactly all of the stuff that we exactly say? Don't take anything out of your selling mix. Mostly the great salespeople weren't formally trained, or they have been formally trained, but they've taken really initiative. Oh my God. Anyway, go ahead, Shawn. I'm just
what I love about that is that, in my account executive days, I would love it. They'd say, okay, sales kickoff meeting, we're going to have a new training. It's Challenger this year. And I've been to Brian Tracy and all these things. And what they would say was, stop doing what you're doing.
Right.
Do it this way. And if everybody does it this way, then everybody will be successful. And I always thought,
and the angels will sing and the money will fall from the sky.
yeah. And I think everybody's got a different selling mix. Everyone's different style, personality, gifts. And yeah, I just think that that's so smart to not just subscribe to one thing, because your customers are different. You're different, your structure, your product. So kudos to you. I mean, how'd you get this wisdom? Like, were you just born as a wise soul or something?
No, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, that Brian Burns podcast, luckily I caught that early enough when I was at a point where I was feeling overwhelmed with how much was out there.
Yeah.
And so that really resonated, because I was like, okay, that framework, is directly contradicting with this one. And you end up just like on a sales call trying to remember, like, oh wait, I need to do this calendar. And it's like, you end up sounding silly because you're trying to sound like a book. So that was really helpful.
What were some other favorites of yours? What are some, shout out some blogs. It wouldn't be bad to say that you read every article by the Irreverent Sales Girl, but no, but what are some other blogs or books or podcasts that you'd like to shout out?
Yeah. I would say Sales Gravy, Jeb Blunt. It's a really good one. I had a chance to meet Jeb, and he's a really good person, very helpful. Reach out to him. He's probably going to respond if it's.
He will.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So cool.
Mike Weinberg is also really good. His books are incredible. So I started with, because at my last job, I was promoted to director, and so it was my first management gig. And so I read Sales Management Simplified from Mike, and that was extremely helpful. Just getting started in that new role. And then also I think it's just Sales Simplified is his other one, which is really good. So those are two, bloggers, writers that I frequently will read. And then Anthony, he's going to.
Iannarino.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
the assist on
Contest to say his name.
that.
Yeah.
So, you knew what I was going for. I frequent his blog as well. And I love his because I don't know if he doesn't get as tactical, but he just helps you, like his blog post about going one level higher whenever you feel overwhelmed. Like, just stop for a minute and think about, like, what am I doing today? What am I doing this month? What am I doing this year? And it just kind of helps you get rid of the clutter, which happens for any salesperson. You have a million things to do and a million places to be. So those are some of my favorites.
It's good.
Excellent. I love that. I mean, I would recommend you to put some women in the mix.
Yeah, for sure.
Know more than a few to have some good books.
Not necessarily.
But I think that's really important, that what you're doing is just, you're learning and you're still learning. And I think the best salespeople are people that are hungry to do that, are hungry to learn, and always looking for ways to connect with their buyers and to be better. And I think it's a personality trait. Do you think it's a personality trait to work on those skills? I think that people can be very naturally skilled, probably, or gifted. But if you don't keep investing in those, I think that you can certainly be outpassed. LeeBartlett said this on his podcast with Anthony Iannarino, where they were talking about, Lee said, I'd rather not be, naturally gifted at this, but I will outwork anybody, and then I'll become gifted at this. That's really important. You can add LeeBartlett to your list, the number one bestseller.
LeeBartlett. And then Trish, for the role that you're in, sort of the transition inside sales account executive, Trish Bertuzzi of the she's like, what? Yeah.
Yes, I actually have that. I have that book on my list. I actually have it it's right up there. So I'll read that.
Yeah, you're going to love it. All right. So let's move to the next one.
Sure.
So as you decided that you were going to leave Cirrus and pursue another job opportunity, what was the interviewing process like? What is it? What's the true, because I just went through this about a year ago, and then I decided to just go out on my own, which has been awesome. But I found that the interviewing process was, truly its own version of Dante's Inferno hell. But maybe your experience is a little different. I'd love to know what your experience was interviewing, and then how you found the right position and how you sort of stood out to land the job.
Yeah, sure. Well, this will be a little bit unique, mainly because the company that I work for now is 100% remote. So we're all distributed across the world. So we're up to 300 employees now, and I didn't do a single like in-person interview.
Really?
Yeah, it was all through Zoom like we're doing now. So it was all, face to face, but not in the room with each other. So that was certainly different.
Mm-hmm.
But the process was, I guess, 5 steps. So the first call was, you guys are familiar with this. It's just an intro call with like a sales recruiter. And that was more high level, like here's the role, they asked me a few qualifying questions because they needed to know that it was a good fit. So what's your current quota? What's your average deal size? Things of that nature. The next call was with the actual manager. So that was a lot more in depth on like specific deals. So the important thing on that, in order to nail that one, I wanted to have a few very specific stories on deals that I had won, which include deal size and the whole process and the way that I laid it out and how I think through it. So that was really important for that one. The third one was with the VP of sales, the hiring manager, again, someone who was existing in my role today at the company. And then I think one other person, she was just another manager on the sales team. So, so 4 people, and you present their product to them. You were selling them. So it was a role play where they were, the biggest banking company in the US, and I was to sell their product back to them. So that was pretty intimidating, right? Because I have no real experience with it. It was all just based on what I could find out and what videos I could watch. So that was pretty intimidating, but I didn't focus as much on knowing the product, because there's just no way you're going to know the product that well. Mm-hmm. More so on the process and showing them how I sell. So that was the third. And then there's 2 more, and those were both shorter. There were a 4th and a 5th with the VP of sales, and then the CRO was the final one. Both pretty difficult still, because I think those are still places where you could get weed out if you don't do well. But it was long, pretty grueling, and I think what was important for me, I was interviewing with a few companies at the time. Everyone that I talked to at this company was extremely professional and really impressive and helpful. So they were challenging but helpful as well. And that kind of culture just resonated with me. So that's why I went with it.
That's great. So what advice would you give people that are, it sounds like you had a bunch of companies in the mix, and then this was just the one. Mm-hmm. How do you keep your mindset and how do you keep the head trash out when you're looking for a new role?
It's really difficult. It's almost like a second job. I think you just have to accept that. If you are beginning that process and you're still are currently working like a full-time job, mm-hmm. you just have to be prepared for however long it takes. For me, it was about, a month and a half, 2 months, from the point that I made that decision to start, taking those calls and looking through it to when I landed the job. You just have to be prepared that your life's going to kind of suck for 2 months. You have 2 jobs. One is selling whatever you're selling, and also selling, you. So just be prepared to work nights and weekends on your pitch, your resume. I would recommend building out stories, like I mentioned. So having, knowing your top skills, your top traits, having those key stories that you can go back and tell about how you had an incredible win. And then I would also have a story prepared where you didn't win the deal. Mm-hmm. And that way you can say, here's the mistake that I made early on. Here's how I corrected it. And then I closed my biggest deal ever. So I would just have some of those key stories that you can tell. Instead of just saying, I work hard, that's like, everyone's going to say that, right. Show them how you did that with a specific deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you really, I love that it's like another job,
Yeah.
You sell yourself. That's like a whole other job. And the more commitment you have to that, the better opportunities you're going to, be able to qualify for. On the interview side, I love, so Dianna and I were talking about this in our last show. One of the things she said to make a point was never take a job where you have not interviewed with the person who will be directly managing you.
Yeah.
So I took that from your interview process. And then I love that you also got to meet and speak with another person in that role, the same thing that you would be doing. And then of course I love the pitch and role play. That I love that. I set up a cold call scenario for my potential sellers, and you know, it's like everyone's least favorite thing to do, but man, how you perform under pressure says so much about you. How you prepared, how you know, your comportment, and how you you know, carry yourself. It's so important. It's not even so much about the product, like you said. It's about who you are and how you show up, and you know, you under fire. I mean, that's what your day is going to be like, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I think another important component to that role play is, even if they completely knock it out of the park, if you're interviewing someone or if you're being interviewed, there's an element where whoever's hiring you should give you some pointer or try to coach you on something. Like, hey, you didn't do this very well. Let's try to run through that 2-minute part again and try it this way, because that's going to show you if they're coachable or not. Because if they don't listen to you and they just do the same thing again, then that's evidence that they'd probably do that when they get the job too. So
yeah, great point.
I did that when I was hiring, and then they also, when I was going through this process, they did the same thing. I was prepared for it. So that's another element of that role play where you just want to see if someone's coachable or not.
Such a good point.
What's your advice for people when they're in the market? The most obnoxious part about the whole interviewing process that I found was the recruiters, like your first line of defense, right? Because you know, they're 21. They have no idea how to really evaluate somebody's true sales experience. You know, that's me being obnoxious about it. But and maybe that's not true for every company. But what's your advice for people?
I have clients who are recruiters, and they're fantastic. So
yeah.
Oh, good. Well, oh my God. Actually, there's one woman that I ran into who was just awesome, but she wasn't 21. I mean, there's a world of experience that, you know, they just don't have yet sometimes. So maybe that wasn't your experience, but what would your advice be for, you know, just being really powerfully dealing with a recruiting situation where maybe somebody really doesn't know how to get their arms around the context of your real experience or, you know, what you really bring to the table?
That's a good question. I think, okay, so I would say, just like in sales, you have to pretty quickly identify whether or not it's a good opportunity for you. So if you're if a recruiter reaches out to you and all they care about is like how much you made last year on your W-2, probably not a great sign. Like that stuff's kind of important, like maybe at the very last step, just make sure you're not full of it. But if that's the first thing that they're leading with, and that's probably not a good recruiter. Again, it's not that it's not important. It's just that shouldn't be the sole focus. So I think, you know, use your judgment as a salesperson to see, is this even a company I'd want to work for if this is the type of recruiter that is reaching out to me? Because I've had both bad ones and really good ones, just like they're really bad and really good salespeople.
I love that. It's like the relationship with the recruiter is really you checking the company out as opposed to them checking you. That's a nice little pivot on the role. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
It's always two-way. Any interview is two-way. So.
Right. I mean, especially if you've got some sales chops, they're just too few and far between fantastic salespeople. So you really, and the company you work for can make or break your experience. So you really do have to do due diligence, and you are interviewing them too. So we have something else we want to talk to you about.
Okay. I'm scared.
So
remember, he has to get off at the top of he has to get off a little early to, we could keep you on. We could keep you on all day. This is gold stuff. But anyway,
it is. But so, you know, Dianna and I talk a lot. We use a lot of real life examples. I demo a lot of software or cloud application based software and stuff like CRMs or a lot of sales tools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot about the good, the bad, the ugly of being prospected. And so, you know, one of the things we talk about a lot is horrible, terrible emails where it's so clear this is queued up in their CRM. They haven't done their diligence. I don't even know what I do. I've got a company contacting me. They're not a good fit. And, you know, I've downloaded something, or actually met them at a conference last June, and they started prospecting and following up with me in January. Like, I know we met at this conference. I'm like, what?
6 months ago. 7 months
ago. So there's 3 different people who've reached out to me at this point, and with terrible emails and phone calls. They'll call and they'll hang up, and then they'll say, I left you a message. And it's awful. It's awful. And so what are your thoughts about the human side of selling, and then the automated side, the enablement tools and stuff like that? I mean, where's the balance, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's really tough. And I know Cirrus is guilty of that. Almost any company I've been at is guilty of that to some degree. Because I don't know, I think there's differing opinions on whether or not like the sales development role should be solely under sales or also like under marketing. And I think a lot of companies, you'll see it as an extension of marketing more so than truly like an account-based sales model, which is really, account-based is kind of a buzzword right now. I just view it as like taking time to do research before you that's really like what it is. But yeah, I think like what you've seen in those scenarios where someone's reaching out and it doesn't make sense because it's 7 months later and there's nothing about you, it's all about them, and there's no call to action in the email and all that stuff. I think that's more so just a misalignment of where that part of the sales process is coming from. Like, I think that's probably coming from a marketing automated system where there's really no thought put into it. And then a call drops into a dialer and the rep's like, okay, cool, I got to make my 100 dials. So,
it hurts so bad.
Yeah. And so I think it's really a strategy problem from that company, which happens a lot. So I guess like to sum that up, I always try to be nice and defend salespeople. There are just crappy salespeople out there. But I think also when you get those emails, I'm looking at it and I'm like, because I get those all the time too. I'm like, did they really, like, is this their problem? Did they send this email? Is this coming from an automated marketing system? Is this just a template that their manager told to blast, 100 contacts? And so I try to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say it's more of like a strategy issue at the company than just them being blatantly irresponsible. So
I agree 100%. And that's why it's so important to, when you're interviewing, to really understand what kind of salesperson you are, because there are some people that just get really off on, 100, 125 dials, like how many can I slam out? And, you do that and you're going to hit, if you shoot enough at the side of a barn, you're going to like hit the barn at one point. Right. And I think that's for some people. But the one thing that really stood out about you, Jake, was, I like to talk about using your natural genius. And I think the companies that really allow their reps to tap that natural genius, which is where the art of selling comes, I think that's really powerful. And I very much hope that you found that role, because they will be very, very, very lucky to have you. So
well, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I would echo that. I think every salesperson has a superpower, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
I've never met someone that has all of them, but everybody has, at least one.
Well, Shawn does.
Yeah.
You've now met her.
That's such a good point. If you look at the Avengers or Marvel Comics, every superhero has like one main superpower and maybe like a suit that complements that or something, and that ties into the selling mix. You should go with your main superpower and make sure that everything else complements it. I smell a vlog.
Oh,
there it is.
Great material.
That's what I do. I take these concepts and I wrap something crazy around.
Love
cool. So, Jake, is there anything that is there any message that's sort of your mantra about, what you want to tell the sellers out there to be really encouraged and to, keep going forward in their roles?
One thing, I don't know. It's tough to boil it down to one thing. I guess slow down every once in a while. Take time to do research, understand the prospect. Probably hear that all the time, but it works, right? If you just have real human conversations, like you all talk about, it typically works. So slow down, take your time, and close some deals.
I like it. I have a final question. Dianna, you don't know what this is. Harder. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Pancakes or waffles?
Oh man. So I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and there is a Waffle House like on every block. And so I think I'm probably biased, but I'm going to go with waffles.
Okay. All right. I Waffle House, high five.
All right. Awesome.
And then the second part of that is bacon or sausage.
Definitely bacon for me. That's easy.
That's my right answer, but I love bacon.
All right.
Shawn is in Memphis, and I'm headed down to Memphis tomorrow. We're going to do a little photo shoot down there and plan our social media strategy. But so Tennessee is sort of the theme of the day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy it.
You don't sing Rocky Top or anything, do you?
Oh, I have to. I'm a UT alum.
Damn.
Uh-oh.
Finally missed the question.
Hottie toddy. I'm getting some hate mail from some Ole Miss people, but hottie toddy, I just don't get that one. Don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I love it. You gave all our viewers some really good insights. I mean,
really good stuff. No warmed over porridge in there.
Well, thank you all for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jake. Go Rocket.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Isn't that fun?
What? He's so cute.
Don't you love it when they validate everything I did? That was not a setup. That was completely cold. And when they say all the things that we've been saying that actually work, I just love it.
I know. It makes us sound so smart.
Mm-hmm. You were so funny.
Yeah, I love
that. You should add some females into that mix. I was laughing at you.
I know. All right. Well, let's see. Do you want to close this one out and do another one?
Let's close this one out and then let me go pack.
Oh yeah.
I've still got plenty to edit, and then we're gonna have our whole strategy. So I'd rather spend my time packing.
Gotcha.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'm super excited to have you. So let's wrap it up.
Can't wait. All right, everyone. Well, that was a fabulous episode with the magnificent Jake Holt giving us true boots on the ground, phone in the hand advice for sellers. And we'll wrap it up by saying, stop hoping
and start selling.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.